So early in the season, I explained a little bit about the FA Thriving Community Club programme, and today I'm joined with Charlotte Richardson and Denise Richmond, two of the club consultants that work in Kent, to talk a little bit more about their role on the programme. So Charlotte and Denise, tell me, how did you get involved as club consultants?
Oh, we'll probably have to go a fair way back, won't we? Well, for both of us, we've been involved in the programme for a number of years. For me personally, I'd worked at the County FA previously as a marketing and communications officer and had taken a step back from football and been sort of invited to utilise the sort of knowledge and skills and experience to help support grassroots football, and that was a massive incentive for me because I think that Kent football is fantastic, and the opportunity to help kind of support clubs around certain pillars of work was really appealing. And then the programme's just evolved over all of that time, and watching it do so has been fantastic. But ultimately just here to help clubs get better and to have, I suppose, sometimes like a bit of a friend to talk to.
They generally need that friend to talk to. You know that they have their little whinges and what's going on, what's hard work at the moment. For me, I was one of the first club consultants. There was a group of 12 of us, and we all went through an interview process. And again, like Charlotte, it's because of the skills and knowledge and understanding you've got of grassroots football. And for me, particularly, it was about the National League system too, that you were able to offer that bit more. Although clubs are, whether they're grassroots or National League system, they're still providing football for any number of age groups, as well as a first team that holds the men's side of it. So again, it's that giving back of all the years of knowledge that we've learned and gleaned over time that you can share with clubs. And if you don't know something, you know a man who does.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. No, that transitions really nicely into actually my next question, which was, I guess, how do you go in and work with the clubs that you're kind of deployed to? Obviously, a club will do a review. We might then say, look, we think that actually some consultant support would be really helpful. But what is it that you go in and do with some of these clubs? Obviously, it varies, but it'd be good to know kind of, when you get in there, how you're supporting them.
Well, firstly, sort of like Denise said, you're that friend to begin with, to have a listen and find out what you can about the club from their perspective. Ahead of a meeting, I always tend to go on their website, social media channels, see what I can glean. But to really listen is the most important thing, and then refer back to that club review and analyse which parts of the football club they feel they're really thriving in, which areas they feel they need support, any particular urgent challenges, and then work with them to build up a plan and action points and keep a really open dialogue, really. That first meeting feels like an important one. You want to get off to a good foot, but I'm sure Denise will feel the same. The reality of doing this work with the club sometimes is that you might exchange lots of emails and lots of phone calls for a period, and then you might have longer periods of out. But it's really just being, like, I suppose, an extra player on the team to help that club, and most particularly the committee members and the leaders of those football clubs off the pitch.
I think that leadership part is really important, because chairs of clubs and secretaries and officers, they don't necessarily know who their counterparts are in other clubs, and they want that friendly voice, but then that also that guiding voice. I think, like Charlotte said, for me, it's about reading the review, understanding what the colour coding means and where they're red, where they're amber, what they need to work on. But then also I want to personally meet with them, because you get much bigger sense of, and not just one person from the club, probably two or three if you can. You just get a much better sense of where they're at, where their aims are, what their ambitions are, and that then helps you build that picture in your own mind to then grow and help them put that development plan in place, that action plan, and who's leading what and who needs to do what. I think as well, that helps you work out if they've got enough people to do that. That's one of the bigger challenges that they face, and you don't get to know that until you've really had a conversation or face-to-face meeting. You really need to do that, in my mind. That's, for me, the most important thing.
Thank you. No, I definitely agree in terms of getting out and meeting the individuals behind the club and actually getting a feel of kind of where they're at and how you can help them. I guess from my perspective, what is it that you enjoy most about going and working with a club? What is it that maybe after a month or two of working within a club, do you really kind of get from it yourselves in a bit of a selfish way, if you like?
I think what I enjoy most doesn't come after a couple of months. It's the clubs that I've worked with longer term, where you see the building blocks really come to fruition, whether that be them getting, grant funding for a pavilion or a clubhouse that is going to be really transformative. Sometimes, though, I like the kind of quick, easy wins. I think we sit on so many remarkable resources and pools upon pools of knowledge and experience. And like Denise mentioned earlier on, sometimes it's just connecting those dots. So sometimes amongst the big picture stuff, I get a real buzz of connecting those dots and helping clubs to get quick wins, because more often or not, the answer to most questions can be found within the footballing community right on your doorstep. It's just in the times that we live in, sometimes it's difficult to grasp that information. So it's a real range for me of what I enjoy.
I do think there is that satisfaction in the longer term. When I think back to some of the early clubs that I worked with when I first joined the programme, they are steadily making progress. And although some of them had the facilities, one's now got a 3G pitch in place. They're transforming their youth section as a consequence of that. Unfortunately, they're not a Kent club, but hey, that we were spread around much more thinly in those days, the early days. But others are actually just growing and developing their leadership and their governance, their structure. But I do think it's that though there are those quick wins, that just having a conversation with somebody. Yep, I can share this with you. I can share that with you, and then it just clicks for them as a club or as a couple of officers of a club, and that makes a massive difference immediately. You don't have to wait for the long time for a grant to come from somewhere, or the application process, or a consultation with Muckle or whoever's needed it. You actually get that quick win where they can think it through. It's a balance between the two, but the quick wins are good and the longer term wins are really satisfying.
And I think those quick wins as well in particular, like the clubs see the progress straight away, and it helps build that relationship between yourselves and the club of actually you've gone and suggested something or you've done something, and they can see that tangible difference. It's actually that hook for kind of working with you over a little bit of a longer term as well from our perspective as a county. Obviously, we're really lucky to have yourselves and obviously Laura Smith working within Kent and available to the clubs that are involved in the TCC programme. What would you say to those clubs that perhaps haven't bought into the programme yet, haven't got on board, haven't come and done a club development review of us? What would your message be to those clubs?
I think you have to be ready to engage with the programme. And if your reason for not engaging is that you don't think you have your own house in order or anything like that, that's my key piece of advice. I know that with accreditation and lots of rules and governance to follow, it can feel quite overwhelming for clubs. This is not another tick box exercise. This is not someone coming to inspect you to tell you what you're doing wrong. This is sort of an open hand, quite unique in that respect, programme that's been developed to be a helping hand, to be a friend in football, and we know how difficult that is for the volunteers, particularly, like I mentioned, those leaders in football clubs are the volunteers that really tip towards the hours that would shock a lot of people in terms of giving up their time. So don't feel that you have to be ready. You absolutely don't. Just be open-minded. And I know there's people watching this that will be so ambitious for their football club and want their football club to grow, and they see the impact of their work and their hours week in, week out. Why not access the free help and see where it takes you?
Yeah, I think doing that review is drawing a line in the sand. It's just where you are here in the here and now. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, the colour coding, the red, amber, green, it just helps you highlight where you need support, but also where you're really good. So it's not just about finding out the bad things, as Charlotte said, or thinking you're going to get reported for doing something not quite right. It's really about drawing that line in the sand. This is where we're good. This is where we're really good. This is actually where we can help other clubs. But then those reds and ambers are where other clubs can help us, and the Kent FA can help us. So, and that's, I think, the strongest message I would say. It's not about checking up on you. It's not about telling you to do something different because you're doing it wrong. It's actually saying if you did it slightly differently, you might change that amber and red to green and gold, and actually you'd have a much better environment and culture within your club that would help you thrive and move forward. So I would say give it a go. That exercise of filling in the review form, it's not complex, it's not complicated, they're fairly straightforward questions. Do it and see what comes out of it, and then that's when you can work out where you might not need help. You might be okay, and it might be where you want to be. You don't need to progress anymore, but actually it'll just help you identify that, and then you can think, okay, we're fine there, we're fine here, we don't need that help for now, but actually I know where Kent FA is if I want to go forward in the future. And that, I think that's, for me, is give it a go, try it and fill it in, and then that will help you move forward or not.
Brilliant. I think that's a great message to end on, actually, to kind of say to clubs, yeah, we're not checking up on you. It's just a case of working out where you are and where the support's available and how we can help you. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. And I look forward to kind of catching up with you next season maybe and seeing where you're at with some of the clubs that you're working with. Thank you.